So the Department of Justice has fired several prosecutors and also several immigration judges in the past couple of days, essentially because their actions were against the general agenda of this administration. This is another step that Trump is taking to shape the Department of Justice to essentially be full of immigration judges that will rule in his favor, aka any deportation case you bring before them, they will rubber stamp, approve, and deport the person. And that the prosecutors and attorneys that are remaining in the DOJ are willing to carry out any of the orders given to pursue and prosecute the political opposition and groups, no matter how frivolous these lawsuits might be. Essentially, more loyalist is what we are seeing here. Now, let's jump into a little bit more detail about why these prosecutors were fired, and then we'll jump over to another article real quick about why the immigration judges were fired. So from MS Now, DOJ fires attorneys who prosecuted anti-abortion protesters under Biden. At least 4 Justice Department prosecutors have recently been fired as part of the Trump administration's plan to publicly accuse the Biden administration of unfairly targeting anti-abortion protesters for their religious beliefs, according to 2 people familiar with the firings and a Justice Department spokesperson. Man, between all of the firings and lawsuits and investigations relating to, I don't know, this person's infringing on X person's religious rights and it's only for like Christians and Jewish people, but anything else, like if you're a Muslim, gross Sharia law. But for like anything else, like we have to defend it at all costs and use it as a reason to do awful things, even if those weren't a part of the reasons for those things happening in the first place. And like the Trump disparaging the Pope, posting an AI image of himself like as the Pope. I don't know how we look at a country like Iran and be like, they are a bunch of religious zealots. It's like, it's a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black, don't you think? Anyways, the firings of the assistant U.S. attorneys come as the DOJ plans to release a report Tuesday that concludes the prior administration weaponized the department to criminalize the conservative beliefs of people protesting outside abortion clinics. MS Now first published the news about the coming report and its findings after obtaining an early draft of it last week. In the case is the Trump administration cite as proof. However, juries sided with the government prosecutors and convicted protesters for violating the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrance Act, or FACE Act, a 1994 law that made it illegal to use physical violence or threats to block access to medical providers. The law was passed after violent attacks on abortion providers and physical threats to staff and clients at medical facilities that performed abortions. So yeah, these people were found guilty. They were tried and put before a court, and a jury found them guilty. Now, obviously, that is the correct call. I've seen what these anti-abortion protests look like, and you like, not only is the entire idea ridiculous, just anti-abortion. I really don't want to get into it right now, but you are blocking people from getting to a medical clinic. That, like, these abortion centers also normally provide other services than just abortions. But anyways, you're blocking it, okay? You can cry all you want and say, oh, but you defend the pro-Palestinian protests. This is a little bit different, don't you think? But go ahead. Type in the comments on how conservatives can't protest, but terrorist Palestinian supporters can, Hamas supporters. A DOJ spokesperson confirmed the firings on Monday when MS Now asked about them. The firings included that of a veteran Civil Rights Division prosecutor, Sanjay Patel, who led the team enforcing the FACE Act and whom Trump's aide had put on administration leave in March amid the investigation of the medical clinic cases, according to the 2 people familiar with the removals. DOJ has terminated the employment of personnel responsible for weaponizing the FACE Act who still remained at the department, a spokesperson told MS Now. Internal news of the firing spread inside the Justice Department and shook many employees already traumatized by the forced resignations and departures of hundreds of prosecutors whom Trump's political appointees have pushed out of office in various ways. Some resigned rather than comply with orders to prosecute Trump-targeted critics or other political tasks that the prosecutors believed were unethical and lacking in evidence. We've seen no shortage of that during Trump's second term. Some were terminated without cause, like the wide swath of prosecutors who sought to charge January 6 protesters who plotted violence and attacked law enforcement officers. Yeah, like it's crazy. Republicans aren't allowed to be the law and order party when they do shit like this. When on like in his first week in office, Trump pardons like 1,500 violent people who went and stormed into the Capitol building with the intent of overturning an election. That's an insurrection. That is an insurrection. But no. They wanted Trump, so it's good, and they're patriots. Like, oh, God. Anyways, and attacked law enforcement officers or who investigated Donald Trump's mishandling and retention of classified documents after he left the White House in 2021. So yeah, anyone who targeted Trump or Trump allies that actually committed crimes that we can prove, yeah, they're out. And so Trump can continue to fill the Department of Justice with a bunch of stooges who are going to try to prosecute people like Don Lemon for being a journalist and covering the news, or I don't know, freaking try to charge James Comey because, I don't know, he made Trump upset, even though James Comey's like the only reason that you became president in the first place in your first term, but whatever. Anyways, now, let's talk about the judges specifically. Judges fired after blocking deportation of pro-Palestinian students. The New York Times reported that over the weekend, the Justice Department had terminated 6 judges, including Rupal, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Patel and Nina Froese, who oversaw deportation proceedings against Ramesa Ozturk and Mosa Madawi, 2 students who were arrested last year as a part of Trump's campaign against the Gaza protest movement. By the way, both these 2 people, completely innocent. They were never charged with anything. They were just abducted and arrested. Mosa Madawi was arrested, detained, and disappeared when he was going to an immigration office because they texted him or emailed him and said, "Hey, we're ready to complete your U.S. citizenship interview. Come on in and let's get this done," because he was going through the process of going from a permanent green card resident to a U.S. citizen, and they abducted him. Ramesa Ozturk, she was like on her way home from class or whatever, and she was just black bagged and abducted in the middle of the street. All she did was write an op-ed, and all Mosa Madawi did was just be a pro-Palestinian voice and a pro-Palestinian protest organizer, anti-Israel, anti-genocide, some very common sense things, very morally, objectively correct things. And even if this was for something else, this is still a free speech issue. They had no grounds to detain and disappear and attempt to deport these people. In an interview with The Guardian, Patel said she did not view her dismissal as directly retaliatory for any one case. She said it fit within a broader pattern of the administration dismissing judges near the end of their probationary term, particularly those who have experience representing immigrants in court. So you just decide that you don't think it's direct retaliation while kind of describing how it was direct retaliation because of how you ruled in court. Something tells me that if you would have rubber stamped these deportations and fell in line with the Trump agenda, you would have been reinstated. Yeah. I think there's a broader agenda of trying to reshape the immigration bench to be more reflective of the political agenda of the administration, Patel said. So you're acknowledging it. I think Patel's a little bit naive or is just trying to, tread lightly. A recent NPR analysis found that the Trump administration appears to be targeting immigration judges who previously represented immigrants. So I don't care if this lines up with the end of their probationary term, and that's just normally how the Trump administration does it. I don't think there's been many judges that the Trump administration have terminated because of them just being near the end of their probationary term and they just don't want to reinstate them. Something tells me that it's almost like when you represent immigrants and rule in favor of the immigrants, you will be fired. That's just the fact of the matter. Earlier this year, Patel rejected the administration's effort to deport Ozturk, then a Tufts University PhD student who had co-written an op-ed for the student newspaper critical of the university's response to Israel's attack on Palestinians. Her attorney said that Patel terminated the proceedings against her, finding the government did not have grounds to deport her. In February, Froese blocked the Trump administration from removing Madawi, a Columbia student and pro-Palestinian activist who was arrested during a U.S. citizenship interview last year. She was conducting a hearing on Friday afternoon and had just taken a break when she received an email notifying her that it would be her last day, as the department would not be converting her to a permanent status, and she was terminated. In response to a query regarding the recent terminations, the Justice Department said in a statement that the Executive Office for Immigration Review continually evaluates all immigration judges regardless of background on factors such as conduct, impartiality, bias, adherence to the law, productivity, performance, and professionalism. AKA, do you rubber stamp or reject our deportation orders? That's pretty much, that's their standard. That's a long way to say, yeah, if you don't rule in our favor, we're just going to fire you. All judges have a legal, ethical, and professional obligation to be impartial and neutral in adjudicating cases, the statement read. If a judge violates that obligation by demonstrating a systemic bias in favor or against a party, EOIR is obligated to take action to preserve the integrity of its system. Yeah, okay. Man, whoever's next president, they are going to have their work cut out for them. Like, I don't think people realize how complicated it's going to be to unfuck this government that Trump is transforming before our eyes. Between the dozens of thousands of workers that have been fired, many replaced with loyalists, and all these programs and agencies that were cut, it's so easy to destroy, but it's not so easy to rebuild. I just hope the next president is willing to take notes from Trump and move with the same sense of urgency, action, and the questionable legal authority that he used to push through various things. Because what did Trump say? What did Trump say? It was something along the lines of, he who is fixing his country or their country can break no laws. I'm probably butchering it a little bit, but yeah. Keep that in mind while you clean up this mess and actually fix the country, because this isn't a mess that you're going to be able to clean up with some neoliberal half-assed governance. All right. This is going to actually take bold, progressive, law and order governance, and albeit controversial at times, to actually unfuck this country. Okay, I'm just being real with you. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below, and if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.